All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about something pretty unique happening right here in West Michigan, specifically in Ottawa County. It's this wild situation where, depending on your address, your water story could be completely different from your neighbors just a few miles away. So that really is the big question, isn't it? How can one county have two totally different water realities living side by side? Why is the water situation for someone in Holland so dramatically different than for folks in, say, Hudsonville or Allendale or Zeeland? Well, that's what we're going to unpack.
So we're really looking at two separate stories today. First, there's the really good news, the well-managed city system in Holland. But then there's the other side of the coin, a documented, pretty serious crisis that's affecting anyone with a private well. It really is a tale of two taps. Okay, first up, let's talk about the city water in Holland, which is handled by the Holland Board of Public Works, the BPW. Now, the headline here is great, for sure, but no violations doesn't always tell the whole story. There are still a few things you'll want to know. So, taking a look at the official report, you can see why people feel good about it. The water comes from Lake Michigan, and it's managed by a utility that's actually owned by the community. They run a staggering number of tests, over 60,000, and they meet or even beat all the standards. And here's the one everyone asks about these days. 0 PFAS detected. That's a huge deal.
And this right here really puts it all into perspective. When you see Holland's numbers on lead pipes next to a nearby city like Grand Rapids, it is just night and day. We're talking 0 versus nearly 20,000. For public health in Holland, that is a massive, massive win.
Let's just let that number sink in. 0. Out of over 17,000 water lines they checked, not one single full lead service line was found. If you're a homeowner on Holland City Water, that should be a huge sigh of relief.
But, as even the folks at the BPW will tell you, passing all the safety tests doesn't mean the water is perfect. There's still naturally occurring things in that Lake Michigan water that can have a real impact on your home every single day. And the biggest issue, by far, is something called water hardness. The easiest way to think about it is like liquid rock. It's just dissolved minerals. Holland's water clocks in at 147 parts per million, which officially puts it in the hard water category.
So what does that actually mean for you? Well, you've seen it. It's that crusty white scale on your faucets and your shower head. It's the spots on your clean dishes from the dishwasher. It's why your skin feels dry, your hair feels dull, and why, over time, your water heater and dishwasher just don't last as long as they should.
Okay, now we have to completely switch gears, because for about a quarter of the county, all of you on private wells in places like Zeeland, Hudsonville, Allendale, Jenison, the story is totally different. In fact, researchers from Michigan State have called it a two-headed emergency.
And this quote from one of those MSU researchers just says it all. It's a real catch-22 for anybody with a well. You're basically stuck. You try to avoid one problem, and you drill right into another one.
So here's the trap. If your well is shallow, it's really vulnerable to nitrates from fertilizers and septic systems seeping down. So you think, okay, I'll just drill deeper. The problem is, when you go deep into the bedrock, you start pulling up naturally occurring salt or chloride. You just can't win.
And look, we have to be crystal clear about why nitrates are such a big deal. For infants, high nitrate levels can cause a really dangerous condition known as blue baby syndrome. It literally stops their blood from being able to carry oxygen. It's life-threatening, and it's why testing is absolutely not optional if you have young children.
And we're not talking about just slightly elevated levels here. The MSU study found hotspots around the county where nitrate levels were 2, 3, even 5 times higher than the legal limit set by the EPA. This is a real documented problem.
Okay, so we've laid out these two completely different water realities. The next logical question is, so what am I supposed to do about it? Let's get practical and talk about a real action plan based on which tap you're using. This chart makes it pretty simple. If you're on Holland City Water, your issues are mostly about quality of life, that hard water we talked about. So your next step is probably looking into a water softener or maybe a drinking water filter. But if you're on a well, the concerns are much more serious. We're talking nitrates, salt, bacteria. For you, the absolute undisputed first step is to get a complete water test. And here's the bottom line for every single well owner out there. You are the water company. You are the regulator. Nobody is checking your water except you. That's why getting it tested every year is so important. And local experts, like the team at Pioneer Water Treatment who deal with this exact water every day, they'll tell you to get a full, comprehensive test that looks for everything. So in the end, Living in Ottawa County means you don't just have a zip code, you have a water story. And that story is shaped entirely by where your home is. So the only question left to ask is the most important one. Do you really know what's in your tap?